I think, just staying creatively alive on my terms helped get me through that decade plus of kind of just struggling.
You're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luse. My next guest today is Randall Park. Talk about an actor with range. In 2014, he blew up Hollywood playing a very satirical version of Kim Jong-un in The Interview.
You know what's more destructive than a nuclear bomb? Words.
Then he played Louis Wong in Fresh Off the Boat, one of the first network sitcoms all about an Asian American family.
Eddie, remember to breathe. You're looking a little stiff.
I don't have the hips for this.
And then, of course, he starred opposite comedian Ali Wong in the Netflix rom-com Always Be My Maybe.
Hi, Sasha. Hi. Hello. Hi. What's up?
But most recently, Randall is starring in another sitcom, Blockbuster. It's a Netflix work comedy from the creators of Superstore, and Randall plays Timmy, the manager of a fictional last remaining Blockbuster store, which isn't a new experience for Randall. I read that you had worked at a video store in high school. Like, how much of yourself did you see in Timmy and his group of friends on Blockbuster?
I see a lot of myself now in Timmy. But back then, I was way more, I would say even more of a slacker than Timmy. I could care less about how well that store did at the time. I just needed a job type of thing. But now I see a lot of myself in Timmy. There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, he seems like this relentlessly optimistic underdog trying to breathe life into what feels like the last days of this dying business. What attracted you to playing him?
My dad owned a 1-hour photo store for many years, and the idea of trying to keep something alive, knowing that its time is up. I don't know. It's something about that. I guess I feel like there's beauty in that.
Something else that Timmy does on Blockbuster is, as a result of working in this dying industry, is he's something of an organizer. Like, he's big on, he has big, let's put on a show energy. Like, we're going to save the store. We're going to have this, block party, basically, in the parking lot of the strip mall that our Blockbuster is in to, rally people to save the store. And to talk more about your career and how you got started, there is this period in your life where you were that person on campus at UCLA. Yeah. You started a theater group in college called LCC, which stands for Lapu, the coyote that cares. Yeah,
Lapu, the coyote that cares. Yeah.
Lapu, the coyote that cares. That has a lot of the same energy, I feel like, starting that kind of thing, starting a theater troupe in college, to create this space for Asian American actors to play, to hang out together, where it previously didn't exist.
For sure. I mean, we thought everything was so grandiose, and the fact that we were starting this theater company, it was going to, truly have a hand in shaping culture, and in a weird, at the time we put on our plays that the audience came, and it was very magical and very very big for us in our little world. But we wouldn't realize the change that was to come from that theater company in terms of the people that came out of it who are doing things, great things in the industry, whether they be writers, executives, Ali Wong, just really great, and a ton of actors, working actors who came from that theater company, which is, kind of crazy, because at the time it was we started the theater company thinking gosh, we don't see ourselves on TV and on the big screen, and let's just create an outlet where we could tell our stories. And yeah, I guess at the time we didn't know that we were going to still be around 25 plus years later.
And so you had this amazing experience with LCC where you got to see yourself in so many different not just so many different parts of the creative process, right? Writing and acting and performing, but also like seeing yourself in so many different types of roles and in so many different
Yeah.
lights. And then you get to Hollywood and you're like, we can end the sentence there, but you get to Hollywood and you're confronted with how limiting the industry can be with regard to parts for Asian American actors, with regard to parts for any person of color ever.
Yeah.
How did you, and yet you've been able to build this really fantastic career. Like, how did you transcend that?
Well, it was a long road, you know, and I mean, I kind of knew going in, but I thought, you know, somehow maybe I was special enough to break through that, and I wasn't special enough. So it took a long time, just chipping away. And during that chipping away, you know, kind of just trying to be a working actor, let alone you know, someone who is known. I just kept writing and doing other things. You know, a bunch of us from that college theater company, we formed our own theater company, like kind of an adult theater company, and we put on shows. And I got into doing stand up. I got into doing improv, and eventually, you know, got into making videos and web series and shorts. And I think, you know, just staying creatively alive on my terms helped get me through you know, that decade plus of kind of just struggling.
I'm certain that you're a role model for a lot of like greener actors who are up and coming. And at this point in your career, you're at this moment where you got your second sitcom, which is already such a huge accomplishment, but you've also played such a wide range of roles.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Jong-un in The Interview.
Yeah.
You played a sitcom dad,
Yeah.
Louis Wong on Fresh Off the Boat,
Yeah.
and even, you know, romantic lead Marcus Kim in Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
And I feel like it can be really easy for comedic actors to be typecast as one kind of funny. How did you achieve this mix of characters like in your filmography?
I don't know. I just kind of just I do think that experience, those years in that theater company in college and after college, where, like you said, I got to play so many different things. I feel like that kind of planted this idea in me, this audacious idea that I could play a lot of different things, you know. I continued to do that even when I wasn't getting work. For me, it's just one job at a time, and just try to do my best and try to have fun. And I've been lucky enough that, you know, the jobs that have come to me have been, you know, pretty varying in different ways.
To dig deeper on some of your roles, like, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but your role in The Interview, okay? I mean, as we all, I mean, I'm sure you thought it was risky at the time, or I would guess that you thought it was risky at the time. And of course, looking back, Sony hack. I think looking back, it was definitely risky. But what was your thought process about taking that role and playing that character? Like, were you concerned about any backlash?
You know, to be honest, I wasn't expecting that backlash, you know, like I really wasn't. And I think maybe because I'm super dumb, I don't know.
I have a feeling that's not it.
It just seemed like it would be super fun. And I guess I was surprised, but I also I understood it, you know, so it wasn't like I was in complete shock. I knew we were doing something provocative and risky, but, you know, I think during those years when I was making my own stuff and making videos and, you know, we were doing a lot of crazy things, you know, doing ridiculous things. And this felt like a ridiculous thing that on a major scale, and that kind of excited me. But, you know, you do ridiculous things on a major scale and, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it had kind of like the vibe of like a, you know, a big parody, like big parody.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, it's very, very, very obviously tongue in cheek. So I could see how you would feel like, you know, like what's one more impression of this guy?
I think there was also this part of me where it was like, oh my gosh, I get the chance to play a lead character in a movie, and that stuff wasn't coming to me at that time. Not that I mean, I had to audition for it, but I wasn't being offered even those types of auditions. So on multiple levels, I think it kind of made me excited, and then we all knew what happened after that.
So to talk about a completely different role,
Yeah.
totally different vibe. My household is obsessed with Always Be My Maybe.
Oh my God.
If my husband did not know what else to watch, that's automatically what we put on, and it performed really well.
Yeah.
It made an impact. For a while, it felt like everybody was talking about it, and I also felt like it was part of ushering in a resurgence in popularity of romantic comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a role that you wrote for yourself based on your own experiences. Of all the things that you could have written and performed, why was that the role that you wanted to write and play, this romantic lead?
Because I love rom-coms, and I mean, I wasn't being offered anything like that. And I always wanted to play a lead in a rom-com. It was like, okay, we'll just write it, with my really close friend, Allie, who also wanted to always be, in a rom-com. And it was something that we both loved. And, it just, along with our friend from the theater company, Mike Galamko, he came in and wrote with us. So it's kind of, again, this family affair. And then we brought in our friend Anachka Khan, who directed it, who created Fresh Off the Boat. We just kind of made it happen. And it was really one of the great experiences of my career.
But it's interesting because, like, I know that what you're saying is true, right? That it's hard for people it's basically hard for any non-white person to be cast as a lead in a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And yet, like, when I look back to that time, roughly like the mid to late aughts, right? You have The Big Sick, which did really, really well. You have To All the Boys I've Loved Before, another Netflix film, did really, really well. Crazy Rich Asians obviously was one of the biggest movies of like the past decade, and probably one of the best performing romantic comedies of all time. And looking back, it's like these were some of the most talked about films of that period of time, of that like 5-year period roughly, where all those films happen. But also they all feature Asian leads. It's so silly that the industry kind of remains in this same space when you can look at the material and you can sort of see the proof in the pudding.
Yeah. I mean, we all know, just from our own lives, that romance exists and people have sex and people fall in love. And then I think the belief is, in terms of the industry, it's like, will people watch this? Will it be people outside of these communities that watch this, i.e. like white people,
Right. How important was it to you that Always Be My Maybe, this rom-com, drew from like your own experience? Like what aspects of yourself, what parts of yourself did you want to share in making that film?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I mean, the losing the virginity aspect of that movie, it's like came from my life. The relationship with the working class dad, I mean, the dad, played by the great James Sato, is named Harry. That's my dad's kind of American name. The mom's a painter. My mom's a painter. We literally used her paintings in the movie. So I was in a band very similar to Marcus's band, and we used that. We just kind of, it was like a shot to tell our story. So we kind of put a lot in there that reflected our lives, which was very fulfilling and fun.
I think that it's so nice to hear about all the personal touches that are in that film, because it's something that's meant a lot to me over the past few years. But I wonder how you're feeling about the impact of your work. What kind of impact are you looking for?
I'm not really thinking of that, to be honest with you. I'm really just focused on doing good work, whenever I can, having fun, and bringing all of me to the work, whenever I get lucky enough to have a job. I do, I want it to be impactful, but I also, I can't control how it impacts others. All I can control is how much I put into it and how much fun I have, and I do hope it has some kind of impact, but if it doesn't, I tried my best, and it was worth it, That's how I see it.
What kind of projects or opportunities are you seeing now for newer actors that you wish you could have seen when you were starting out?
I feel like there's a lot more consciousness now, in terms of kind of an Asian American identity, in Hollywood. When I was coming up, it was very much like this kind of, there can only be one kind of thinking,
yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of fading away.
What's a story that you want to see brought to screen, that you like to be a part of? Any story? What's something you'd like to play, or something you'd like to see made?
Well, I just directed a movie, and
tell us more.
I just directed a movie. It's based on a graphic novel called Shortcomings. It was the most fulfilling kind of creative endeavor I've ever taken a part of, but also it was a story. It's the kind of story that I've always wanted to see in terms of the Asian American experience. It's very much, an Asian American story, but it's about very flawed people. That's an area that we haven't seen much, and understandably so. We're still fighting just to get on screen. And when we do get on screen, it's like there is this need to represent, right. But I feel like we're getting to a place where representing right means just representing all of the human experience, and allowing our characters to be a little messed up, a little broken, a little complicated, or very complicated. And I feel like this movie, it's a chance to kind of really show that. So it's been really fun.
One last question to ask that is a selfish question. Okay. I need to know personally.
Okay.
When will you star in a romantic comedy again? The people want to know.
Well, when they offer me a great project, or when, I get tired of waiting and decide to just make one myself like we did last time. So hopefully sooner than later. Because I do.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, I do I just love it. I just love romance. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? It's so pleasing and easy to watch.
Yeah.
And it's so enjoyable and so wonderful. And I think it's a great vehicle for your talent.
Aw,
Not that you
Brittany.
needed my encouragement. Randall, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a minute.
Thanks,
it was
Brittany.
Great to talk.
So fun. Thank you.
That was Randall Park. His latest series, Blockbuster, is on Netflix. It's a fun, relaxing show, perfect family TV for this holiday season.